The Great Debaters Contest is powered by Blaze, by Safaricom, the Youth Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another great edition of the Great Debaters Contest. We are in Kiambu this time, and I am Austin Nyumbo.
And I am Mariam Bashar. Welcome to the show. Remember, we continue with the Sustainable Development Goals, #GDC for SDGs. We have PCEA Kikuyu High School going versus Nova Pioneer Girls, and they're trying to answer the question, would a one-party state curb ethnicity in Kenya? We'll have them respond now. Proposal number 1, you have 3 minutes.
I'm Davina Nelima Voy from Nova Pioneer, and I stand here to strongly propose the motion that a one-party state will curb ethnicity. So let's start by defining some key terms. We have a one-party state. What is a one-party state? A one-party state is a form of government where the country is ruled by a single political party, meaning that the forming of other parties is illegal or is not allowed. And what is ethnicity? Ethnicity is the fact or state of belonging to a social group that has a common natural or cultural tradition, meaning they share things like practices and linguistic features. So what does this motion mean? This motion means that if we introduce a one-party state, then we'll be able to control ethnicity. So I want to take you back to Mzee Jomo Kenyatta's reign, or his regime. When we first gained our independence in 1963, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta stood and declared, Harambee, let's put our differences aside and come together as a country to be able to build our country. And just because we came together doesn't mean our ethnic groups were destroyed. It meant we were stronger together. We believed in each other. Look at the power of a one-party state. Look what it did to Kenya. It made us great, and that is why we're here today. Let's move to the reign of Julius Nyerere, the former president of Tanzania. And so we all know that Tanzania was formerly Zanzibar and Tanganyika. But what did they do? They came together the same way, and they decided to become a one-party state. 120 different ethnic groups came together and built their country. Things like ujamaa, socialism, they worked splendidly for this country. And they are where they are today. And ujamaa really incorporated one of the Sustainable Development Goals, otherwise known as the SDGs. And it was to eradicate extreme poverty and hunger. Because they shared everything they had, none of them went hungry. The country prospered together. And they were together as a family. And so did socialism. Socialism worked the same way. And I believe if we come together as a one-party state, then we will be able to work together with other countries and other continents. Thank you.
Gentlemen, you have 3 minutes for your opening statements.
The countries prospered together in Tanzania. We are human beings. And Tanzania, they encouraged unity. Yes, they did. But there was at this point, we are all human. And most of us humans tend to, when you see the other one prosper, and you know, I'm not cultivating on my own land, should I do it effectively like the way I'll do on my land? No, you just do it shallowly so that you just get done and you seen doing the ujamaa in Tanzania. From the PCEA Kikuyu High School, I'm Paul Kinuthia. Long is not forever. One wise man said that. We're struggling with ethnicity. But we as a country we have a vision, Vision 2030, where we want to be a middle-level of economy and industrialized nation. Ethnicity is hindering us, but bringing a one-party state will not help us attain our goal. It will not help us attain our goal, because if we are a one-party state, we are closing opportunities. We are closing opportunities for other leaders who have great mind, great ideas to come up with parties and to be given a chance to rule the country. We are closing ideas, we are closing doors for them. Lack of representation. A one-party state. A one-party state, she's defined a one-party state as the country is being ruled by one party and no other party is allowed. Like no other party is allowed, yes. but we're lacking representation if we ruled by a one-party state. This will mean that nobody will be there to question that party in whatever it will be doing. And if you try questioning them, your party will be banned, probably. So every party or every group that will be formed so that they can support what the other party is doing. One party cannot produce any other system other than dictatorial power. We have Moi's regime. Moi ruled for 24 years. And some of us were not born, yes. But we read in the history of Kenya that whenever the president was passing, all of you would line up and lift up one finger. That means Kenya is a one-party state. Even if you're not willing to do it, you were forced to do it. So a one-party state will not curb ethnicity, and I oppose that motion. Abraham Lincoln said, "I walk slowly, but I never walk backwards." We are walking slowly to curb ethnicity. We won't go back to a one-party state. Thank you.
Ladies, we'll hear your cross-examination. You have 3 minutes.
Ethnicity is like a cancer, slowly eating at our country and bringing it down to its knees. How will we bring up a country full of peace, justice, and strong institutions with multipartyism? This is Daniela Olang, here to strongly propose the motion that a one-party state will curb ethnicity. A correction to one of the opposers. During Moi's reign, it was a dictatorship as described by some people, but the dictatorship wasn't brought up by the system. It was brought up by the type of leader, by the leadership. It wasn't the system that caused dictatorship, it was the leader. Ethnicity should enrich us, it should make us a unique people, and our diversity should unite us, not divide us. But with this multi-party system, in a country where the political spectrum is based on tribal lines, multi-partyism only makes us further apart. In a country with over 160 registered political parties, it is so hard for us to stay united. In a one-party nation, it will join us together, put us under one political party. This violence that you see in different parts of the country, it will stop because we will be under one political party. From 1960 to 1970, a trend was seen among African countries where they were put under one political party. And in this period of time, peace and development was witnessed. Now, if we bring back this one-partyism, this state where a country was ruled by one political party, wouldn't we witness development? Wouldn't we find peace in our country? Kenya, with all her immense resources, cannot fully step into her place in the world economy until we stop this cancer, until we stop this disease called ethnicity. And multipartyism only brings it out where some certain tribes belong to some certain political parties. And if I belong to this community, if I belong to this tribe, I cannot support these political parties. It has to stop. And what can stop it? One-partyism. The Kenyan government spends a lot of time and a lot of resources building national unities and bringing Kenyans together, only for this peace to be destroyed during general elections. We all get mad when the side we were supporting loses. This happens during the general elections because the party you are supporting might not necessarily win. And it brings conflict among communities, it brings conflict among families. It breaks us apart as Kenya. This Harambee that Jomo Kenyatta worked so hard for is being destroyed when we put in multipartyism. So let's adopt this one-partyism. Umoja ni nguvu, utengano ni udhaifu. Let us embrace this and move forward as Kenya. Thank you.
PCEA Kikuyu, you have 3 minutes for your cross-examination.
Democracy is the rule of the people, by the people, and for the people. And if there's no democracy, what will be the rule of the people? What will be the voice of the people? Brian Bogwa from the PCEA Kikuyu High School here to oppose the motion that one-party state can curb ethnicity. And to my own point, first point, Now in Kenya, we are a multi-party state, and yet we live in harmony. Although there are some differences between us, I think Kenya, we are going somewhere because we might be slow walkers. But one day, I know we shall reach the end where we shall never look back to the 2007-2008 massacre, but we shall see to the Vision 2030 where one Kenya, one region will be the motto of our voice. But until the constitution came and was amended, that's why now a president can only rule for 5 years, not more than that, and not less than 5 years. Moving on to my third point. One-party state may lead to political oppression. We as Kenyans are not ready to suffer. We as Kenyans are not ready to suffer at the hands of one political state. Looking back to during the reign of former president of Uganda, Idi Amin, the country was one-party state, and people were greatly mistreated because no one out there was out to protect them. Even when Milton Obote tried to protect them, he himself found himself in exile, where he had run away from Idi Amin era. Even as we look, no one in Kenya is ready to become like Wangari Maathai. Wangari Maathai opposed the multi-million skyscraper that was to be built in the Uhuru Park. But just because she opposed that, Moi regime was at hands with her. Every day in her life, she faced dangers. Or can you tell me that you are ready to face those dangers? All we know is that the world makes the way for a man who knows where he's going. So as Kenyans, we know where we are going. Because looking at the recently launched SGR, no Kikuyu, no Kamba, no Meru is allowed. No Meru is discriminated from entering that SGR. All people are given the equal chances of entering, no matter what ethnic region you come from. And moving on to counterattack my opponents, he told us that during Moi's era, during Kenyatta's era, there was Harambism, which brought us together. But I want to ask our question. During Moi's era, there was rampant corruption. What about that? Thank you.
Thank you to the audience for posing questions to the two teams. The proposers have been asked, in the event of a one-party state where often one ethnic group takes up all the important positions, do the other ethnic groups not end up feeling unimportant and disenfranchised and like they do not have a say? The opposition have been asked if they have any proof that during the Moi era all he did was rule and not do much else for the country. We'll have them take the stage now and respond to those questions. Third proposer, you have 3 minutes.
A one-party state will curb ethnicity. I am Karen Nganga, and I am here to propose this motion. So on to the question that was asked. So if one party rules, then what about the other communities? Don't they have a say? So I'd just like to state that a one-party state does not necessarily have to be made up of one ethnic group. One example, Kenyatta's time, during independence, he united all the different parties of different ethnic groups and brought them together to form one government. What did this do for Kenya, I ask you? It brought Kenya together. We were able to recognize ourselves as Kenyans under the governance of Kenyatta and his team, which was made up of not only Kikuyus, not only Luyas, not only Luos, but every single ethnic community in this country. And this is why we are here today recognizing ourselves as one people, Kenyans. So, on to the one-party system. Please note that the one-party system the suffering in the one-party system is not caused by the fact that it is a one-party system, but the bad leadership that leads it. So a one-party system is not necessarily caused by us only being the ones dominating, but the bad leadership that is there. So another thing that was brought up by the first opposer, lack of representation. So during Kenyatta's regime, again, he brought all the communities together. So you cannot tell me that our community was not represented in the one-party state because it worked. We are united. We were united. And actually, something was said about corruption by the second opposer. I would just like to state that research has been done. And during this time of multipartyism, there is more corruption than there ever was. So you cannot tell me that a multi-party state will curb ethnicity. Because why? A one-party state made us be who we are today. A one-party state brought Kenyans together. A one-party state is what makes us who we are today. So what does a multi-party state do for you? 2007-2008 post-election violence. Party against party. People against people. Ethnic group against ethnic group. That's what multipartyism did to us. Thousands of people died. I bet if I was to point out in this room how many people were affected by that, by the post-election violence during that time, almost all the hands would go up. Why? Because of different parties. If we had one party, all of you would agree with me that this would have never happened. This never happened during Kenyatta's regime. So why not go back to the one-party state? Why not go back to what made us who we are today? So countries like the Democratic Republic of Congo is a multi-party state. How many times do we hear of war in DRC? I ask you. People against people, brother against brother, ethnic group against ethnic group. My name is Karen Nganga, and I rest my case.
Gentlemen, you have 3 minutes to respond to the audience as well.
If you keep reading the same page, you'll never learn something new. From the PCEA Kikuyu High School, I'm Jackson Kerry. On to your first question. You asked about Moi. His work was to rule. And you asked us to give an example of that, of your question. A good example is in his government. Most of the cabinet secretaries and the CEOs were from his ethnic group. He didn't even go to the root cause to look for people who could lead. He just selected people from the ethnic group and put them to the government. And on to my first opposing point, there is no check on the power of the party. This inevitability leads to corruption and manipulation of power. A good example is in the opposition. What is the work of the opposition? The work of the opposition is to criticize the government. A good example, we have the NASA, or the earlier called COD. They criticize the government. They help keep the government on toes so that they might be able to deliver the manifestos they mandated to do in their campaigns. For example, during the NYS scandal, we wouldn't have known of this probe were it not for the opposition. And even during the Eurobond probe, where did all of this money go? Where were the resources that were allocated in this Eurobond go? If it were not for the opposition, we wouldn't be knowing all the evils the government is doing in government right now. And that is why I'm discouraging one-party system in Kenya. Second, it may exclude some experienced politicians in the government. Take this, for instance. This is Kenya, for crying out loud. This is the government we're talking about. We don't, as much as we need youth, yes, I agree to that point, we need youth in the government so that they may be able to bring their innovative and inventive ideas. That is for a fact. But what I know of, we need experience. My father once said, experience is the best teacher. And when we bring these experienced politicians in government, take for example the former president Mwai Kibaki. Mwai Kibaki was able to deliver to the Kenyans. Why? Because before he came into power in 2002 and in 2007, he was in the government of Daniel Arap Moi. He was in the government, right? And he acquired experience from Daniel Arap Moi. This enabled him to go into power knowing that he was going to serve all the Kenyans regardless of their ethnic groups, religion, or tribe. For instance, let me give a good example. In the Thika Super Highway, Mwai Kibaki constructed the Thika Super Highway. That is the best highway and road we have in Kenya. This super highway, there's no traffic officer that has ever stopped anyone on the road asking him, are you a Kikuyu? You should not be on this road. Get out. Has anyone ever stopped one of you and asked you that question? No. He made sure that these roads served Kenyans accordingly and fairly. So, if it were not for multi-party system, His Excellency Mwai Kibaki wouldn't have gotten the chance to deliver to the Kenyans and to make Kenya an industrious and a happy place to live in. So I strongly oppose the motion. Thank you.
We're ready for final statements now. Ladies, you have 1 minute.
I'm still here to strongly propose the motion that a one-party state will curb ethnicity. I would first like to start by telling the opposers that the motion is not about the type of economic growth that a country went through. It's about bringing a country together as one. The beauty of a place is the diversity of its people. But I'd like to ask you one question. What good is this diversity if all it brings is tragedy? I'd like to go back to the 2007 post-election violence. People lost their homes, their will to live as Kenyans, their hope. They lost everything simply because of this multi-partyism that we, as the opposers are trying to say, is good. We lost everything that we held near and dear to our hearts. All in the name of what? Multi-partyism. And only after disaster can we be resurrected. So I'd like to urge all of you Kenyans to open your eyes. The solution is right in front of you. Thank you.
Gentlemen, you have 1 minute as well.
The beauty of Kenya, it's the diversity of people. You said that. And I will support you in whatever you've said. So, do you really think that a one-party state will curb ethnicity? Do you? Do you really think that there will be fair representation? We have over 43 tribes in Kenya. Each tribe, we have different counties. Do you really will you tell me that when there is one-party state, they will pick everyone from those tribes fairly to represent the people? Are the people happy about it? You've said His Excellency, the late Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, encouraged the unity. Yes, he did. And there was unity because you said Kenya was a one-party state. But there's a time he went to the Lake region for a rally or something, and as he was talking on stage, he was hit by an egg. And that made him really angry. What did that show? It shows people were not happy with his ruling. So, ladies and gentlemen, the grass is greener where we water it. So it is up to choose wisely. Thank you.
PCEA Kikuyu Day School. Paul, I liked the way you stood and you began with countering their points. I thought that was a very good way of beginning to correct them and show us your stand. That was very good. You were very audible. I liked your confidence also when you stood on the stage. Kudos to you. Although I would say maybe add a little more passion when you're speaking so that we see that it's actually something you deeply feel. Brian, I loved the way you gave us a quotation about democracy. That's something everyone identifies with. You also used a lot of rhetorical questions and good examples, and you are citing recent things that happened. That shows me you put in a lot of research into it. Very good job, and keep doing it. Also to you, I would say add a bit more of passion when you were giving out your points. Jackson, you had a lot of confidence. We like that. Your passion was there, and also you showed us that you were very informed about the topic. The research that you had done was very good, very good. So team, that was a good job.
I just want to focus on some highlights from Nova. Davina, I think you opened it up very well. I would say that when you're giving definitions, it would be good to give it on your own terms, how you understand it, yeah? But I think that was a very strong opening. Daniela, I think you gave a very good, comprehensive sort of delivery. And to improve or to make yourself look better, I would suggest that you use keywords to prompt you to your next point, rather than spending time looking down and reading sentences or phrases. Then it'll come out more naturally. Karen, very good. I think what you managed to do is turn the debate into a leadership point. We're now debating about leadership, which is, I think you turned it round on its head, which was very good.
Whose results should I begin with? Nova Girls or PCEA Kikuyu? Okay. PCEA Kikuyu High School, the judges awarded you 66%. Please give them a round of applause. Well done. Ladies of Nova Girls, the judges awarded you 73%, making you the winners of this debate.
Very well. Congratulations to the two teams on stage. We'd like to thank our audience, both in studio and at home. Please keep watching KBC Channel 1 for the Great Debaters Contest. A big shout out to our sponsors, Safaricom Blaze. I have been your host, Austin Nyombo.
And I am Mariam Bishar. Thank you for watching.
The Great Debaters Contest is powered by Blaze, by Safaricom, the Youth Network.